It's Tuesday and it's time for Falcon Focus. It's Tuesday and it's time for Falcon Focus. It is episode number 17 here in season number 3, our 5th episode here in the second semester. Great to be back after Mother Nature had other plans last Tuesday thanks to ice shutting down the campus. No show, but we were back ready to go with a jam-packed Tuesday. In segment number 2, our focus will be wrapping up the women's hockey season. We'll talk with one of their freshmen, one of their very talented freshmen, in forward Brooke Gibson. But up first, a jack of all trades. Her title is assistant women's soccer coach, that being Hannah Call, who's been with Concordia since 2015. My name is Matt Metal. Thanks for joining us this week for Falcon Focus. And Hannah, thanks for joining us on the hot seat.
Absolutely.
You, as mentioned, and many of the coaches around here wear many different hats. And one of those hats is being a game manager, especially off season. And I bring it up because this past weekend, Concordia was fortunate enough to host the NAC men's basketball tournament final on Sunday. Tough loss against Marion, but a heck of an atmosphere here inside the John Book Fieldhouse. You were the event manager of that game. Before we talk about those details, what goes into managing a Concordia sporting event?
Well, you are, first of all, responsible for getting the refs to like you, get them on your side so that our team gets all the good calls. So you're greeting the refs, bringing the other team to their locker room, and then just making sure if there's any inappropriate comments from the crowd that you're there to step in, which I have never kicked anybody out, but I really want to.
Have you been close?
No, not really. See, I don't really know what the line that they cross would
Fair.
be. So I'm just kind of looking for the refs to see if they would ever, want something to be done. But I just keep picturing myself like what I would say when I need to kick somebody out of the game. It hasn't happened yet.
Have you ever greeted a referee who's kind of a prima donna, demands like certain color Skittles or M&Ms or certain soda or water?
Oh my gosh. I don't know his name. The one bald guy.
Well, we don't need to name names.
He's he's
that
needed,
guy.
Yeah, he's needed a hot pad for his knee, so I'll take him to the training room. Need to get fresh towel at halftime, fresh towel after the game, and then waters throughout. Needs me to bring like paper and pen down for him. I don't know what they scribble down, but definitely some prima donna referees.
Sounds like it's time for somebody to retire. How much fun yet challenging is managing a game like Sunday where you have such a huge crowd? This place was jam-packed, standing room only, great atmosphere, but again, as you mentioned, you got to make sure students and fans don't cross a certain line.
I had a lot of help. We had the men's football coaches helping, and they're on it. So actually, there was a situation where some fans needed to be kicked out, but
Ooh.
I was not in the area, so I didn't get to do it. I guess they were standing behind our team bench, and Coach Walker got to kick them out, not me.
Boy, that sounds like Coach Walker. You played some college basketball at Milwaukee. On top of the fact you played the sport of soccer, how did that opportunity come about?
What opportunity?
To play basketball.
To play basketball.
Yeah, at the D1 level.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I went to Milwaukee to play soccer, obviously, and we had I had a great career. We had 4 conference championships, but my senior year, I was injured pretty much the whole year, and kept trying to play, and then at the end of the season, found out that it was a fracture. I had a fractured bone in my leg, so I wanted to get a red shirt to play again because I was just miserable kind of playing on that, but because I played in too many minutes, the NCAA didn't allow for a medical red shirt, so I just honestly couldn't stand for that. And I played basketball in high school, and I was pretty good, and so I just kind of started practicing by myself secretly, and then word got out that I wanted to play basketball, and actually one of the coaches texted me like, "Are you interested in basketball?" So then I got to sit down, had a little tryout, and then I got to play basketball after that.
So did you have any overlap with the two sports at all during your time in Milwaukee? And if so, how were you able to juggle the two?
I actually didn't. So
Okay.
the season ended, and I was in a boot for 8 weeks, and then after that, I just started kind of messing around with the basketball, and then jumped into it would have been was it summer postseason workouts. Yeah.
So is it fair to say soccer is your favorite sport, basketball a close second, or is that not fair to say? And has it always been that way?
I would say soccer is definitely my favorite sport, but I took soccer way more seriously, and basketball was just so much fun. Soccer was, I don't want to say stressful, but it was stressful. Where basketball was just fun to play, and kind of same thing in college because the soccer was so serious, and I hadn't touched a ball for 4 years when I jumped on the basketball team, so I was just there to be a great teammate and have as much fun and work as hard as I could.
If you could go back in time and basketball, soccer off the table, can't play those sports, what sport would you play and why?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I think I would want to play volleyball because one, it's fun, it's competitive, but there's no running involved, which that is it's miserable. I mean, it's necessary, but it's just I hate it. But volleyball's fun, and I don't want to like cut on volleyball players. I'm sure they do plenty of fitness, but I would play volleyball. I feel like I'd be a good setter.
Well, I laugh because we have a former men's volleyball player in the background, Josh Dinkelman, who's nodding his head, yes, you don't have to run. In fact, he barely even broke a sweat through his career with the Falcons, but I digress. No, but when you look back at your time playing both soccer and basketball, what do you consider to be your career highlights? Or is there a performance or a game that stand out among the rest?
100% basketball game. So it was.
Is this the Wright State game?
Yes. Do you know my stats?
I don't know the stats offhand, but I've heard the story, but I'll let you tell it.
I'll sum it up quick. So it wasn't that I never played in the season. I played. I definitely got minutes, and the team, everybody wanted me to score so bad. And I wanted to score so bad. The ball never went in the whole season, and it was the last game of the regular season. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna play after this. Like, this is the last game, and it was a close game at half. So I was just like being a great hype man on the bench. And then all of a sudden, second half started to get away from us. And I got called into the game, went in, a couple seconds left. Coach Rex takes a timeout, has an out of bounds play, doesn't work. I go up for a rebound. I got fouled. Went to the free throw line. It's questionable. I don't know if I got fouled or not, but I'm sure I did. Did my routine, my first shot, miss it. I look over at the bench, and Coach Rex is like, put this in. So I'm like breathing. One of my teammates comes up to me. She's like, just pretend this is for the conference championship. I'm like, oh, my God. And so I took my second shot, bounced around the rim a couple times, and went in. So I scored 1 point in my whole college basketball career.
Another thing, well, that's a heck of a story. And another story I want to bring up, or at least talk about, one thing that doesn't get addressed very often is in college sports, coaching changes happen. And you as a player went through a coaching change with women's soccer at Milwaukee. I'm curious to know from an athletic standpoint, from a player standpoint, how were you able to manage that change? Was that a difficult process?
That was extremely difficult for our team because the coaches that were there that recruited me, Michael Moynihan, David Nikolic, they were there for forever. Mike's mom started the program, and so a new coach comes in, and it's very different than the coaches that we had before. And my team did not handle it well. They were not happy about some position changes. They were honestly, I think maybe this is part of the reason why I'm a coach right now. So I was annoyed with how they were acting. But anyways, it was tough for my team to buy into a new coach when all they wanted was our old coaches back.
Well, it's funny because I was going to ask you, what led you then to go the coaching route, and you kind of answer that with some of the stuff that you kind of dealt with as an athlete. So maybe I'll take it a different way and say, what coaches throughout your lifetime maybe impacted you or have been mentors, if you will, in helping you grow as a coach?
Honestly, I would give Coach Rex the credit there because so that was my 5th year, and I knew I wasn't going to be a star player on the women's basketball team, so I had to just embrace my role as a teammate. And I know that the basketball program was kind of in a rebuilding period, and they were having some tough times before I got there. And she made adjustments to help the team kind of come together, and we bought in as a team and really came together there. So I honestly think Coach Rex was the reason why I wanted to coach.
And when it comes to coaching, you had the opportunity to work some soccer camps along the way, eventually ended up here at Concordia prior to the 2015 season. How did that opportunity come about here at Concordia?
So after I graduated, I didn't have anything figured out really. I was just nannying for David Nikolic, the assistant coach at the time Northwestern, but he was at Milwaukee. And his wife Brittany was the head coach at Alverno, and she came home one day and she said, "Do you want to coach soccer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's literally exactly what I want to do." So Ryan sent out an email, I guess, to the conference or some coaches in the conference asking if they had any recommendations for a full-time assistant. And so I came in. I never had an interview before. I never had a real job. I worked for my uncle's paint company, and it was just soccer and basketball my whole life. So it was my first interview, and Brittany was just like, "You know how to talk soccer?" And I was like, "Sure." I went in and got it. And I've been here ever since.
And you speak of the Nikoliches, David now the head coach, women's soccer at UIC, his wife now the head coach, women's soccer at UW Parkside. So you've been here since 2015. In that time, how do you feel like you've grown as a coach?
So much. When I first got here, I was pretty close in age to the players, and I didn't really know how to coach, so pretty much all I would do was play with them, and that didn't go so well. I think there was a report that saying like Coach Hannah hit a girl in the face with a soccer ball and didn't say sorry, and I was like, no, I didn't say sorry. We were trying to win. So I really had to adjust and figure out how to actually get things accomplished. Other than
I can't
just
believe
playing.
you're still here. You didn't say sorry?
I know. I'll never
There's
forget
the door.
that. Yeah.
Jeez. So from a soccer standpoint now, it is the off season. I put that in air quotes because there really isn't such an off season nowadays with coaching, recruiting, spring seasons. How about from a recruiting standpoint? I know when you were on the show a couple of years back, we talked about the whole recruiting process. You were going here and there and trying to recruit the future Falcons. How has recruiting maybe changed since you were an athlete or even since you started coaching?
Well, one, I'm way more comfortable talking to prospects. Not as nervous because I want them to like me so bad. Just things kind of happen more naturally than you would think. So it's easier to talk to prospects, and then also I know the school and I love the school so much now. So it really is. I'm not faking anything. I'm not lying. I genuinely think this is such a great place, and I guess that's easy to sell when you actually love something.
So recruiting going on, spring season just around the corner. I'm curious to get your thoughts on what the spring season entails. What does it look like? What is it going to look like this year as we somewhat get back to a normal spring season?
Well, we're just
practices, games.
Practices, yeah. So we're gonna start practicing at the end of April, usually when it gets a little bit warmer. 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and so we have one day of competition. We're going to be going to Marion, I believe, and we'll play a tournament. I think Marion, Oshkosh, and it's a smaller team, obviously, so we won't have our seniors. But it just gives us a good idea of what we need to focus on coming in for the fall.
Well, kind of unique with the COVID season being what it was. Last spring was the actual season for the 2020-21 school year. Did that have a big impact, good or bad, when you look at preparing for this past season with that quick turnaround, going from actual games in the spring to all of a sudden, bam, it's the fall of 2021?
Honestly, I thought it was great to have such a short turnaround because kind of just got the ball rolling for fitness, and it keeps your touch a little bit sharper when you're coming off of the season and you're jumping right back into the season. I thought it was really good for us, actually.
Team this past fall going 14-4 and working through some COVID-related issues as everybody did around the conference. Get your thoughts on just the way the season played out this past season.
It was such a fun season. We had such a great team, a great culture, and we really started clicking. Honestly, midway through the season, we're doing great, and we fell a little short at the end, but I thought it was overall just everyone had a great season.
Well, I hope you don't mind me bringing it up that at this point I think just about everybody had it at some point, but you were at one point hit by COVID at the beginning of the year. How difficult or how unique was that, not being at the actual game but still kind of following along, trying to coach as best you can from a distance?
My gosh, it was crazy. So there was a point where all three of the coaching staff, we all had it. So there was 2 weeks where there weren't any coaches at training. And I would send out the night before what fitness requirements we would have and some technical things for the girls to work on. And so it was 2 weeks without having coaches there. And the first day that Coach Ryan was cleared, we played Aurora, came out and won 8-0. So it was, honestly, they didn't even need us at all. They were fine.
Let's wrap it up by just kind of looking at the future and mention, at least for women's soccer right now, still in that off-season mindset, if you will, but getting ready for a spring season before you know it. It will be summertime, then preparing for the fall of 2022. I guess just when you look at the roster, when you look at the team on paper, lost some great players from last year, but returned some very talented players. In your opinion, what does this team look like? What's the immediate future look like for Falcon women's soccer?
It's exciting. It is so exciting. We have the same, minus Allison McElwee, we have the same goal scorers back. We have a younger back line that has 1 year of experience now. And honestly, I'm so excited for next year. I can't wait for the season to start.
Can't wait, and weather's starting to feel a lot like fall, spring, summer. But Hannah, as always, thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it. All the best during your off season.
Yeah.
And when we come back, speaking of off season, we'll talk about what the future looks like for women's hockey now that their season has come to a close. We'll talk and focus on women's hockey with freshman forward Brooke Gibson here on Falcon Focus.
Since 1978, Lutheran Church Extension Fund has had the humble privilege of supporting the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod in fulfilling its mission of sharing the gospel.
Thanks to our faithful investors, we provided thousands of church workers, congregations, schools, and organizations with the resources they need to reach more people with the saving name of Christ. It's what we do.
Because our greatest joy comes from seeing LCMS Ministries and her workers thrive, we will continue to make precious resources available, both today and far into the future. It's our promise to you.
We are Lutheran Church Extension Fund.
We are Lutheran Church Extension Fund.
We are Lutheran Church Extension Fund. We want to be part of your great and exciting work.
Welcome back to this week's edition of Falcon Focus, episode number 17. We now switch our focus to women's hockey. Their season just wrapped up this past weekend, a very competitive winter for Falcon hockey, and being joined by a very talented freshman forward in Brooke Gibson, all the way from Ontario, Canada, here to the Mequon campus. We'll get into that as we go along, but Brooke, thanks for your time here on this Tuesday. Now, your first collegiate season, as mentioned, is coming to a close this past weekend. You played in all 27 games. For you, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make playing at this level?
I would definitely say the speed of the game. It's very fast paced, and just keeping up, remaining positive. It's really hard sometimes, and you get down on yourself, but just keeping a positive mindset for sure. Was there a point where it kind of slowed down a little bit, where you started to get more used to the speed, acclimated to the speed? I would say after maybe about 3 games, you kind of just know the pace of the game and how it's going to go.
you got off to a great start. You scored goals in your first 2 and 4 out of your first 5 collegiate games. Did it help? Obviously, when you're a freshman coming into a new program, maybe confidence lacks a little bit. When you have that kind of success early on, did your confidence just kind of soar through the sky?
Yeah, for sure. Coming into it, I didn't really know what to expect. So the goals definitely helped the confidence level and just, like I said, like that positive mindset. And yeah, I just wanted to keep climbing that mountain and doing good.
I always ask our hockey guests this same question. I'll ask you the same thing. Your first goal came on November 2nd against Lawrence. What do you remember about goal number 1 of your college career?
Oh, I was just so excited to finally get it done. I know it was our first real game, and it was just really – I honestly don't even remember how it happened. It just happened. I was so happy. And yeah.
And you have the puck?
Yes, I do have the puck.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You had a remarkable game back on November 26th at Buffalo State. Had the hat trick, 3 goals, a couple of power play goals, added 1 assist. When you reflect back and just kind of think about that game at Buffalo State, what was key? How were you able to come through with a 4-point performance?
Just going shift by shift and keeping that urgency and my feet moving. That's a big deal.
And as mentioned, overall, you got to play in all 27 games, able to stay healthy. You finished with a team best 13 goals, 7 of which came on the power play, added 9 assists. When you look back at this season, were you pleased with how it ultimately, at least for you, we'll talk about the team aspect in a minute, but for you, were you pleased with how it kind of turned out?
Yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement. I hope throughout my college career, everything just keeps getting better and better and better and building off of it. But for a start, as a freshman, I think that was pretty good, yeah.
Absolutely. How would you describe yourself as a player?
I'm definitely a team-first player. And overall, I think just keeping, like I said, that positive mindset and just building up the people around me and encouraging others, encouraging myself, and then just doing it together as a team and getting it done is a really big thing for me.
So heading into the off season now, and I know you get a little time to decompress and then get back into hockey workouts and start focusing on year number 2. But maybe for you, what aspects of your game are you going to try to work on, or are you focusing on to improve even more so in year number 2?
Definitely keeping my feet moving. That's a big deal. Sometimes I find myself like gliding or just like watching the play. So that working on my shot and just finding seams, making plays, and being like a big playmaker.
Mentioned this past weekend, a tough way to see the season come to a close. It's always tough when a season ends, but for the Falcons, falling in a conference tournament quarterfinal series at Aurora Friday, a very competitive game. Falcons are up 2-1, 3-2. When you look back at that series, what do you think ultimately was the deciding factor? How was Aurora? I know they're a very good program. How were they able to come away with a couple of wins, in your opinion?
I think just consistency. I think moving forward, we definitely have to work on being more consistent and working together as a team. With them, they're very consistent, and they're a good hockey team, and I think we're just as good, and we can be better for sure.
Now, when you look back at the season for the team, finishing 13-1, 8-7-1 of the NCHA, how would you summarize how this season played out?
Summarize. I think overall it was a great season. I mean, 13 new freshmen coming in, that's a big deal. That's like basically a whole new team. So I think with that, I couldn't have asked for a better season.
When you look back for you personally, whether it be a trip, a game, a performance, what is your favorite memory from this season?
Definitely when we beat Adrian. It was a great time. I mean, the seniors, we really did it for them. Their whole hockey careers, they're like, we need to beat Adrian. And so when we finally did it, we got back in the dressing room, girls are crying, girls are screaming. It was a whole bunch of different emotions. So I think just being a part of that, it was a great experience, and it was amazing, really.
It was definitely a fun Friday night inside the Ozaki Ice Center. You mentioned you were among 13 freshmen. The team also had 5 seniors that were on the ice. When you look back at this season, when you look back at the seniors, what do they mean to you? How do they help you transition to the college game?
They're amazing. All of our seniors were there no matter what. I mean, just from their experience, they could help us through basically everything because they go through everything, just like us. They've been through it, and they know how to help you out of it, build up your confidence and everything like that. Honestly, all of them are so amazing. So
always love to find out the backstories of how athletes got here to Concordia, and mentioned you're from Canada. How did you end up at Concordia?
So Kendall, the old assistant coach, she emailed me before a tournament that my team played in Brampton, Ontario. And when we were there, she talked to me, and then I got a phone call with her, and then I came and visited the campus, and I loved it. I loved the people, the campus, the team. It was a really great experience, and as soon as I came here, I knew I wanted to come here.
So academically, what's your major? What's your study?
I'm studying elementary education.
Okay. Now, we met your parents. They were in town. Was it the Adrian series?
Yes, they were.
They were in town. We got to meet them. They came up and said hi. I know they watched some of the broadcasts on the Falcon Athletic Network. How far away is home from the Concordia campus?
It's like a 6.5-hour drive.
No kidding.
Home. Yeah.
That's not terrible.
No, it could be a lot worse.
Is it a nice scenic drive as you get north,
it's
or
okay.
is it kind of boring?
Yeah, a little bit boring.
Is your hometown known for anything unique?
Not really, just hockey.
Just
Everyone
hockey.
plays hockey, yeah, basically.
Well, it's great because I was going to lead right into the next question, that obviously Canada's known for hockey.
Yes.
So how long have you been playing this sport, and how did you get started?
I've been playing since I was 5. My parents just put me in it. My dad played when he was younger, so he put both my brother and I in hockey, and then ever since then I love the sport.
So you had no choice. It was kind of like,
No,
will try it and you will like it.
Right, yeah.
And here you are.
That's how everyone is, basically, over there.
Did you watch a lot of hockey then growing up too?
Yeah. My parents, my whole family are like really big sports fans, so growing up, for sure.
Did you play any other sports besides hockey?
Yes, I played soccer.
Soccer?
Yes.
When did you give that up?
When I was going to 11th grade,
Okay.
I gave it up, yeah.
So what made hockey the ultimate sport for you? Just because everybody else is doing it, and it was one of those, like, you were, exposed to it in so many ways?
Yeah. I love just doing it. It, like, to me, it wasn't kind of like a chore to do. I was just like, I want to go. I want to be on the ice, like, as much as possible when I was younger and now.
Our previous guest on the first segment, Hannah Call, asked her the same question. When you go back, if you look back and you can go back in time, you can't play hockey, you couldn't play soccer, is there a sport that you would have liked to have tried or wish you maybe would have played?
I would say softball. When I was younger, I had a good, smooth left swing, and
there's still time here.
Right.
You still got a few years left that you could try to do double sport.
Exactly. You never know.
You never know. To wrap it all up, for the future, when you look at, when you get back into that hockey mindset and start looking ahead, what goals maybe do you have for yourself, for the Falcons going ahead?
Goals going ahead, I would say just like be a leader and just keep building that confidence level, and there's always room for improvement, and just get better day by day and do what I have to do to get there.
Well, great stuff, Brooke. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on with us. Great first season, and again, all the best to the Falcon women's hockey team as they now prepare for the 2022-23 season. That's it for this week's edition of Falcon Focus. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next Tuesday right here on the Falcon Athletic Network.